Capricorn is probably the only sign that the astrologers explicitly associate with age and aging. Not for just one reason, but for two reasons. One reason is easy and maybe boring. It's that Capricorn is the sign of age and aging. As simple as that. But the second reason is fun to say if you're a Capricorn or a friend of Capricorn, and it's that this sign is believed to be aging in reverse, backwards, which means that they are born as like elderly, little old men or micro-grandmothers, and then gradually, year after year, decade after decade, they ease up and get kind of like more youthful. Not entirely true, not a lie. We'll get to it. I am Nadia, the astrologer for people who do not believe in astrology but can enjoy it nevertheless. And I'm also the author of this Adulting by the Zodiac series about the different stages that zodiac signs go through as they age, as they mature. The astrology for non-believers thing I explain in a video that I link to here, but also in the description. And the aging thing mechanism I explain also in much greater detail in a video that also link here and in the description. But now we will focus only on the Capricorns. The Capricorn birthdays fall on any day that falls between the 22nd of December and the 19th of January. This everyone knows. This is the conventional frame for the birthdays. But sometimes some people born on the 21st of December or the 20th of January may also have their sun in Capricorn due to whatever, gap years, different positions of somewhere, something. If that's you, get yourself a natal chart, make sure you're not a Capricorn, or maybe that you are. So these stages of development that I'm talking about, it's all about where your progressed sun is in which sign at this moment of your life. So what is the progressed sun, right? The sign that everyone knows about themselves is the sign that their sun, that the sun, like in general, was at the moment of their birth. But this sign stays with them forever as their natal sun. And together with this natal sun, they also get the progressed sun, which when they're born is at exactly the same spot, but then starts moving forward. And if you were born with the sun in Capricorn, then first it moves through the remaining part of Capricorn. Then at some point, anywhere from 0 to 30 years after you're born, it moves into the next sign, which for a Capricorn, it's the Aquarius, and begins the second stage of development. I call the first one the kindergarten because it's relatively easy. You just have to learn to do what you were born to do. And then the second would be school, which is a little bit more difficult. This second stage always lasts 30 years. But then eventually the progressed sun moves into the next sign, which for the Capricorn is Pisces, and begins the third university stage of development. Also a lot of learning, but it comes usually a little bit easier. It's a more mellow time for almost every sign. So let's start with the first kindergarten phase, when the progressed sun of a person born with the sun in Capricorn is still moving through Capricorn. Now, depending on your birthday, this is how long this stage will last in your case. So remember what I said about reverse aging, right? In line with this theory, the Capricorn child takes themselves very seriously and their life. And even more so, I think, if they're a teenager going through this first stage. And only then, you know, after they have lived in this very serious state for a while, they can start easing up. So they are seen very often right from the start as some kind of like old souls who then gradually ease up and, you know, become more lighter and younger. And becoming younger, you know, it sounds very cool, but it means that you have to start out as the little old man or like a micro grandmother, which I think is funny and cute. So the little Capricorn at this stage takes great interest in what is right, what is lawful, what is according to rules, but also what happens if the rules are broken, how people make sure that the rules are followed. They may also get upset if they think that the rules are bad, or if the rules are good but they cannot be enforced. So rules, one important area of interest for the little Capricorn. They may also in this stage already be very persistent, not necessarily in the direction that their parents or teachers find beneficial, but it's that they spend so much time thinking about what is right that they tend to trust their own interpretation of what is right quite a bit, and it's sometimes difficult to, you know, convince them otherwise. They are also such fans of everything that is proper and official that they may start getting married and having children significantly earlier than their peers. And keep in mind that this first stage, it may last up to 30 years, so it may be appropriately early, not like scandalously early. However, sometimes also if their second Aquarian stage starts early, they may also get married and have children or get married earlier than everyone else, but not to build like a proper thing, but out of rebellion as like a punk gesture. But coming back to this first Capricornian stage, at this stage they really need structure and hierarchy. So like a clear structure where they can orient themselves, where they can find out this is how you need to behave, this is how things work, this is what you need to do to succeed. And it's good for them if the rules are followed, you know, not just by them, but by other people around as well. And they also need people who they can respect and who respect them in return. So grown-ups who can build this like relationship of mutual respect with the Capricorn can become very important in their lives and can become role models. But other than people, they also like have an affinity for, you know, are attracted to trophies and medals and certificates. So anything that can bestow additional status on them. And also status symbols that can be bought for money. This they also find very attractive. In a situation where there is no structure or little structure, where there is no hierarchy, they may be acting not in an optimal manner. So if it is difficult, you know, to orient themselves, and if they have a sense that everything is kind of like chaotic, they may activate this like hyper adult version of themselves and try to control everything, which obviously if they're little people, they cannot do it. And this is very hard on the psyche and can be actually traumatic. But even if it doesn't go you know, to the point of being traumatic. If there is no structure, no hierarchy, they may get lazy, but apart from being just lazy, they may get lazy and anxious because Saturn, the planet that rules Capricorn, is already putting pressure on them. And if they're not able to deal with this pressure, they may start, you know, acting out and spreading their bad mood and putting everyone else in bad mood and becoming unpleasant. On the other hand, if there is enough structure, if like it's clear what to do to succeed, look, you know, what the rules are, etc., they may act in a rational, productive manner and be relatively successful already as children and articulate and clear and, you know, enjoy moderate success. They also need and try to achieve a sense of control and personal competence. And this is easier to achieve either if you control people, if they follow your lead, or if you're alone, because then there's only one person to control. And so this makes solitary hobbies more attractive to little Capricorns. And through those solitary hobbies, they build up the sense of competence. And that sense of competence can later on make them feel more confident also in a group setting. So it's not like they are real introverts. It's more like they need a little bit of time alone, and then they become more secure, and then they can, you know, go and talk to others. And also with others in a group setting, they at first can seem like they are shy, which is not really, it's not like real shyness. It's more like first they need to get an orientation and to, get that sense of, you know, confidence and control and competence. And then they can let loose already, and then they can be fun and, you know, less shy, more expressive. Also, not a pleasant side of a little Capricorn, but at this stage they also enjoy criticizing others for their poor performance or like not enough effort or foolish actions. But they themselves don't want to be criticized, which is understandable, right? But the bad thing about it is that it keeps them from asking for help. And this is another reason why at this stage having mentors is so important, because the mentor is the person who can guide a little Capricorn and direct them before the Capricorn, you know, shuts down and feels completely incompetent and cannot ask for help. Anyway, at some point, this stage comes to an end, and the progress sun moves into the next sign, into an Aquarius. Depending on your date of birth, these are the 30 years in your life this stage will occupy. So Aquarius is the sign of originality and rebelliousness. And for a Capricorn, these 30 years may become the time of, you know, the phase of rebellion. And it goes like this. First, they studied the rules according to which everything works, and then they start, you know, breaking them. And in fact, Capricorns are great rebels and rule breakers. And I made a list for myself to just, you know, read which amazing, wonderful people are Capricorns and how experimental they truly can be. So it's David Lynch, Basquiat, Miyazaki, David Bowie, Patti Smith, Simone de Beauvoir, Susan Sontag, Henry Miller, love Henry Miller, Martin Luther King, Howard Hughes, Mao Zedong, or Alessandro Michele. So they have absorbed and internalized the, rules and conventions to such a degree that when they start experimenting with them or rebelling against them or changing them, it's almost like a new order is born. And this is a very impressive process. And also this phase is this phase of independent self-discovery. So Saturn, which is the planet responsible for both Capricorn and Aquarius, in tarot cards is represented by a hermit. A hermit is someone who gets away from the society in search for the things that society cannot provide. And yeah, very often Capricorns at this Aquarian stage are switching from, being involved in things that people do in the society and also withdrawing from the society, or like being as a bit of an outcast and finding their own way, which is for this stage very appropriate. This is also the stage when the reputation that they have spent years, if not decades, building starts actually weighting them down. And Margaret Mitchell, a Capricorn, said, I have a card for that, until you have lost your reputation, you never realize what a burden it was or what freedom really is. She knew what she was talking about, obviously. So in this stage, very often Capricorns go through some radical, dangerous for their reputation events like divorces or abrupt career changes, or like some other radical changes that, they couldn't initiate in the first stage because they worried about their reputation so much. But this thing with reputation is not as straightforward as it sometimes may seem. So this freedom that they can enjoy at this phase in their lives, it does not come purely from rebellion. It also comes from the fact that in the previous stage of life, but also in this stage, it's not like it ends like that. Capricorns have earned a reputation that allows others to have some trust in them. So when they propose something unconventional, other people are more likely to actually listen to what the Capricorn has to say and maybe, give them a chance. And this, trying unconventional things brings so much joy to Capricorns, even if they have to fight for it, that they cannot believe, how much better and how much more fun this grown-up life is compared to when they were a child and had so much restrictions and rules and such, right? And this is where this, reverse aging comes into play. So at first it may be, something changes in the mindset, and then something changes in some of their small actions. And then before you know it, they are leading a revolution, or I don't know, going to Peru to try ayahuasca, or something, more youthful than 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So Aquarius is an airy intellectual sign. And for the Capricorn, this may be a phase of more intellectual endeavors. So rational arguments, they now find more convincing. They have more stronger influence on them. With emotions, they may at this stage feel a little bit powerless and awkward. But like I said, it's a great phase for learning, education, other forms of intellectual development, especially if they can do it independently. That's a bonus point. Aquarius is also a sign of community. And at this stage, a Capricorn that was living as this, paragon of self-sufficiency and almost like stoic attitude, may realize to their surprise that they are not the only ones who have challenges or who have certain problems or who have certain life situations, and that other people have that as well, actually. And they may feel this sense of, having a community. It is like empathy, but with a more Aquarian twist. So it's not as much directed at an individual. It's more directed at the community, or like the humanity in general. But community is also important for another reason. So if fighting for their independence and freedom and the right to do things their way at this stage, Capricorn loses too much of what they were responsible for, this may shatter their sense of self. But if within the community they get more responsibilities and they are now responsible for something that is more communal, this may help them restore their sense of self. So being in like a tribe of people who they can call their tribe is a good thing at this stage. It doesn't have to be the same people who were the friends of Capricorn in the previous stage, or maybe some other more, I don't know, interesting or like just different people. So at some point, this stage also comes to an end, and the progressed sun is moving into the next sign, Pisces, also for another 30 years. So depending on your date of birth, this is how long, always 30 years, this is which 30 years of your life this stage will occupy. Now, Pisces, it's not like Pisces is like the ultimate sign of love, but there is something to it. There's probably like a more articulate way to express it, but the point is that at this stage, a Capricorn can finally at some point relax and start enjoying life as a more kind, loving human being, and open their heart, to the world, to the other people, and love more freely. Yeah. And they have been preparing for it their whole life. So first they were, remember, learning the rules and how to, obey them and how to behave in a structure. Then they were searching for their own way within the rules that they already knew very well. And now they're ready to integrate the two and start living their life authentically, but also in relative harmony with the outside world. And the previous Aquarian phase is more confrontational. This one is more peaceful and, based on integration. They may become more emotional at this stage. Like I said, they open their hearts, and on the one hand, it may lead to them expressing their love, more freely and openly and spontaneously and easily. On the other hand, it may lead to them being an emotional mess more often. This sovereignty with emotions is earned, and usually, if they did relatively well in the first stage, if they did relatively well in the second stage, they are stable enough and robust enough to not just endure this increased emotionality, but benefit from it and learn from it and make it also their thing. It is also the phase where their spiritual life may blossom, and they may be able to listen to their hearts more, not only to their hearts, but also to the, heart of, or like the spirit or anima mundi, the soul of the world. Or if I'm serving the cliches, it may be the phase that during which the Capricorn women may feel like their femininity, like feminine energy, is suddenly awakening and is there to be used. And even those who have been maybe even consciously trying to work towards awakening this feminine energy for years, well, now it's suddenly here. And it's more, flowy and easily achievable. Pisces is also the sign of dissolving in something greater. And this is the phase where the Capricorn may have a greater empathy and compassion towards other people and towards the collective, and be more altruistic and happily sacrifice something that is his for something that is more, belonging to the collective, or to the humanity, or to some big idea. And at this stage, it may be a healthy thing. It's not always a healthy thing, but at this stage, it can be. Of course, there are negative sides to this stage as well as to anything else. So Pisces is also the sign of addictions and lies, deception, and also being lost. So at this stage, some Capricorns, so for example, the Capricorns who have been working towards something that they now don't see the value in, so like climbing their own mountain, they may be so disappointed and so disillusioned that they turn to alcohol. Or a Capricorn who have been working themselves so hard and treating themselves so poorly may start getting health problems and start losing their memory and losing their mental clarity and start living like in a fog, which is also an expression of the negative side of Pisces. But one of the positive sides of Pisces is that it is a sign of rich imagination. So at this stage in their lives, Capricorns may also become great storytellers and weave long imaginative stories that, connect fact and fiction, and work relatively hard, but also with pleasure on making something like this. So yeah, this is it about the Capricorn and the 3 stages of their development. The next sign will be one of the fire signs, not so much of them to go. And yeah, engage with the video if you wish more people would watch it, or if you know some Capricorn who is now in their rebellious phase and feels like they are not a Capricorn but something else, you may send it to them as well. And see you in the next video.